I'm on the phone with Clive Boustred, who is in the Santa Cruz area.
That's correct.
And he wants to discuss his complaint involving abuse of government power. Go ahead, Clive.
Well, Greg, I've had now 7 years of extreme abuse, ranging from when it all started in 2003, March 10, when the shooting instructor for the Santa Cruz Sheriffs ran up to the side of my car as I returned home from the courthouse and shot at me with my children directly behind me from a range of about 5 to 7 feet. He missed. He was about to take a second shot when the sergeant stepped in and interrupted his second shot. The sheriffs then locked me in my garage after ordering me into there, closed the door behind it. I showed them filings that I just made in the court. They claimed to be responding to a false call my ex-wife had made. And I had just returned home from the courthouse filing a temporary restraining order to prevent my ex from resuming making false police calls. She had made a false police call 8 months earlier and had been ordered out of our family home then. And the sheriffs then ignored the law. They didn't have a warrant to be on my private property. They had no right to shoot at me. I certainly wasn't armed or anything. I was wearing a tweed jacket returning to my executive estate, which overlooks Monterey Bay.
Was the police officer, was he in uniform or plain clothes?
He was in uniform. Okay. I arrived to my house, and he was actually half in a bush off to the side of the road.
Was this during the day or night?
This was in the middle of the afternoon.
Okay, so he was actually very recognizable as a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, he was. Well, it was pretty strange. I came home from the courthouse, and my ex had made false police calls 8 months earlier, and the sheriffs rushed up to my house then, and she blew it. She told the sheriffs that I had disconnected the phone, and that she was going through actually a list she had received from a women's crisis center on how to fight a California divorce, and she was going through the list and told them to disconnect the phone. And when I told the sheriffs, I pointed out to them that she called them.
You say when the police shot at you, you were driving away?
No. My house is in a cul-de-sac up 1.4 miles down a private road. I'm a respectable businessman, been in the community for 20 years. I live in I have a 5,000 square foot home overlooking Monterey Bay, there was. When I arrived home and saw the sheriff there, this guy was off the side of the road. I thought he's going to scare the heck out of my kids, so I did what any good parent would do. I went to go put my boys in the house and kind of come out and talk to the sheriffs and show them the temporary restraining order I just filed. But instead he just raced on after me and opened fire at me.
What were you doing when he opened fire on you? Were you doing anything?
I was stopped in front of my garage, waiting for my garage to open.
Okay, you were in your vehicle?
I was in my vehicle.
Okay,
yeah.
Was it running and moving, or were you just?
No, it was stationary. I live in a cul-de-sac. There's nowhere to go but my house.
Because I'm trying to figure out what would give him the justification to draw down and fire on you.
He had absolutely no justification when federal. So I sued Santa Cruz County. They immediately they threw, after shooting at me, they threw me in jail and charged me with assault with a deadly weapon, child endangerment, and resisting arrest. They actually physically assaulted me in my garage and said that I resisted arrest because I froze.
Okay, were you armed with a firearm or a pistol or a gun?
Goodness no.
Okay, what was the weapon that they claimed you were using?
I suppose my tweed jacket.
Were they trying to? Do you think it was your vehicle, or did they?
Well, the sheriff who shot at me later on in court, he tried to say that I tried to run him down with my vehicle. He was off the side of the road. Then when the lawyer started asking him what the details were and asked him if there's any injuries or anything, he denied it. No injuries, no. His pants weren't torn, he wasn't scratched, nothing happened. And then he changed his mind and said, his pants were torn.
Did he shoot at you while you were approaching him or after you or when
No, he actually he was off the side of the road in a bush, half in a bush, which looks like they'd set up an ambush to assassinate me. And he ran down after my car into my house, into my driveway, and I was sitting in my car waiting for the garage.
So he ran after you at that point?
Yeah.
And is that when he started shooting at you?
No, so I'm stopped waiting for my garage door to open right in front of my garage. He just ran up to the next door of the garage and aimed at me and shot at me. There's actually you go to the libertyforlife.com site and you click on the proof of government abuse. There's a video of a reenactment of that. And he just literally pursued after me into my driveway and opened fire.
Okay. Because right now I don't feel or pick up on anything that would give him a justifiable reason for shooting at you.
No, absolutely none. Absolutely none whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. When federal court issued an order to show cause to Santa Cruz as to why they shot at me and why they sent me to jail for driving 27 miles per hour on a private road, the response Santa Cruz sent back was a notice of non-interest. They can't answer. So I sued them. I sued them, and they then just ignored my cases. And this last a year and a half ago, when processing my lawsuit against these judges and the sheriffs and the district attorney in Santa Cruz, who by this time now 7 years later have filed 9 malicious cases against me, they literally issued an order to evict me from my home on the very day they filed to get themselves dismissed from my lawsuit, arrested me, threw me in jail, would only bring me in front of the judges I was suing, set bail at $200,000, rushed down to federal court and got my case against them dismissed, then ordered that I not communicate in any way whatsoever with my children, not even allowed to tell my little boys that I love them. And then they took my home and sold it. The court signed my name for selling my house, took the proceeds of my home, which they flogged. My home was valued at $2.5 million. They sold it for less than $1 million, and took the proceeds and gave them to my ex-wife, who I paid off for the home 6 years ago. They took checks that my ex-wife had stolen, which is a felony, and signed them over to her. They've committed crime after crime after crime in flat-out open and flagrant violation of the law. There is no law in these courts. That's not the only time. Then about 4 months ago, the sheriff set up another ambush to murder me. I came to I was going to the party at the vineyard, Windy Oaks Vineyard in Corralitos in Santa Cruz. And I arrived there, and there were sheriffs in the driveway. And whenever I see sheriffs or cops anywhere now, I just go the other way. So I went the other way, came back an hour later. There weren't any cops in the driveway, so we drove up to the vineyard, and there were cops up at the vineyard. So I pulled off to the side and asked someone what was going on. While I was asking them what was going on, another guy ran up to my car and said, "They recognize your car. They're going to chap you." He gave me directions on how to drive out of the back of the vineyard through the actual vineyard itself, which I took. I immediately drove off out through the back of the vineyard. My friends who were there said that the sheriffs turned the lights off their cars, took out their automatic weapons, and set up an ambush waiting for me to drive back down from the vineyard.
Okay, you got about 30 seconds to wrap it up, so what quickly, how did it end?
Well, it hasn't ended. They just recently if you go to libertyforlife.com, and you'll see there's a sort of flashy signal saying that Liberty for Life founder sentenced to 9 years in prison. The judge I've been suing literally threw me in jail for a 6-year prison sentence, said if I don't sign a plea bargain, then I'm going to be locked up. That's it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for the information.